Everybody's always asking what kind of loans we do here at Columbia Green Federal Credit Union.
Let's tell them.
Holiday,
Consolidations,
Quads,
snowmobiles,
boats,
back to school,
lawnmowers,
campers,
motorcycles,
first-time auto buyers,
weddings,
trucks,
heating oil,
RVs,
furniture,
vet bills,
dirt bikes,
vacations,
appliances,
home improvements,
pools,
jet skis,
home equity.
anything at all.
You want it? We got it.
Hey, welcome back to the Press Box, presented by Columbia Green Federal Credit Union. And we're a little bit in between seasons here, so we'll touch back, a little recap on the basketball seasons. The All-Star teams are all released, and we have those coming. So let's talk a little bit about June Conference All-Stars, the Russ Beck with the MVP.
MVP, and I think well-deserved. There was a lot of talk about the MVP this year because it was so close. I think so many good players, and especially the big three that we have talked about all season long in Russ Beck, and Cole Ackerman from Greenville, and Justice Brantley of Catskill, and a couple other kids that really stepped up as well. Daquan Griffin of Hudson, Justin Worth of Catskill. So there were a lot of candidates, but I think Russ absolutely deserved it. He had a special year, not only reaching the 1,000-point milestone and becoming Taconic Hill's all-time leading scorer, but just consistent the whole season through.
Yeah.
He played when he was sick. I mean, he just had a great year all over. And as a senior, I think it was well deserved.
Definitely.
I mean, Justin Worth had it. Looked like he had it down the stretch, and then Russ Beck. You can't ignore the fact that he was like a one-man band carrying a team, and he got to go to the sectionals and had a great sectional outing against a very, very strong Waterville Elite team.
Yes.
He did. Now let's run through the first team. There was also, as you mentioned, Cole Ackerman. He got first team. Justice Brantley was first team. Justin Worth also first team. Daquan Griffin, Nate Mannion over at Maple Hill, and Jeremy Ramirez over at Hudson also had a pretty under-the-radar season, but a really good season over there.
Jeremy was one of those kids that always stepped up in the biggest of games. I mean, I recall that Albany High game, a non-league game on the Saturday afternoon, but he really stepped up and helped Hudson remain in the game and then to come back and win that game in overtime. So Jeremy had a very good, solid senior season, and I don't think you could argue with his being included in that first team at all. Any one of those kids on the first team, there's no argument here at all. They all are certainly deserving. Daquan Griffin really stepped up as well. He missed a couple of games midway point of the season, but beginning to end, he was strong and solid, and I think the best is yet to come. He's only a sophomore, so I think you're going to hear and see a lot more from Daquan Griffin in the coming years. And as you mentioned, Justin, I mean, Justin Worth had such a good, solid year. There's a lot of people that will say, hey, you know what, he deserved certainly a lot of recognition when it comes to the voting for the Patroon MVP, but didn't get to that MVP spot, but he certainly was deserving and had a great all-around year. Had some really big games himself in big game situations.
Yeah, definitely. Second team, Youssef Bushquire. We have Will Bartholomew, both of those guys from Catskill. You have Colby Clegg of Taconic Hills, and Nitrell Franklin Hedgepeth over at Hudson also. And Coach of the Year, Scott Hanrahan, who got a little bit, again, under the radar guy.
Yes.
Because you always look at Catskill and Hudson were the top two teams in the league. They battled it out for the championship. But right behind them was Maple Hill. And you kind of forget about the third place guy, but he did really well, went deep around in sectionals with taking the Wildcats to semifinals. Class C.
They gave Hoosick Falls everything they could possibly handle, and then some. Had a miraculous comeback, down 18 in the third quarter, battle all the way back, and Scott Hanrahan had those guys pushing all season long to beat Hudson in Hudson on Hudson's senior night. Is something
Hudson still looking for a piece of the league title, so that's a huge win.
That's something that's going to go down as a great resume piece when he does retire. It's like, you beat Hudson at Hudson on senior night.
In one of their dominant stretches the past few years.
You really can't argue with that. I'm a big Tom Super supporter at Taconic Hills as well. I think he was right in the running, but you really can't argue with Scott Hanrahan becoming the Coach of the Year. Once you analyze things and you break it down and you look at things, how the league went, I mean, as you mentioned, the two top teams did what they were expected to do, and that was be the top two teams, so no big surprises there. But Scott Hanrahan, not that Maple Hill was expected to have an off year, but they were expected to be maybe middle of the pack, but they got better and better as the season went on, and I have no issues with that at all.
Definitely. Now moving over to the CHVL, another bit overlooked team in Lebanon
Right.
came out with the MVP
Yes.
with Clayton Erickson over
Yes, we saw Clayton a couple times this year,
Yep.
and he was a flat out, 20-point at least per game scorer.
Yeah.
Every time out, he can hit the three, he can work the ball inside. Good choice there. You could actually go a couple of ways in that as well. I mean, Germantown had the unbelievable year. They were unbeaten in CHVL play, but I think it was more of a team effort. There were so many good players on that team. Wyatt Gibbons maybe was a leading scorer, but there were so many other good players and pieces. But again, no argument with Clayton.
No. And then you got to think also the fact that Clayton also had Brandon Call, who
Right.
had probably one of the best final 7 games you could possibly have.
He did.
Where he had, I believe, 5 of his last 7 games were 20-point per
Yeah,
game,
finished
20
strong.
points. So he definitely had some support this year. But Clayton is a very good shooter and he's a volume shooter.
Right.
Once he gets going, it's really, really tough to stop him.
Yeah.
And we got to see a good taste of him against Pine Plains. So
Yes.
Yeah.
hopefully we get to see him again next year.
Tournament, right?
Yep. Yeah, so we have him. Also, Brandon Call. He was a first teamer over there for that wrapped up Lebanon. Hawthorne Valley had a few guys. They
Yes.
had 2 guys, Owen Wendell Braley and Chris Davis, were both second team
Yep.
guys. Germantown had Dan Callenbenz, Wyatt Gibbons on the first team, and Kevin Velez on the second team. So pretty good showing of there are 3 local teams in the CHVL.
I tell you what, you could make an argument for Andrew Kellenbenz, the other guy,
Yeah.
the 5th starter for Germantown, making this team as well, because he doesn't score a lot, but he's the facilitator out there, the point guard, and does such a good job running that team and running the show out there. And I'll tell you what, he's a kid to watch out for in the future as well. Again, not a big scorer, but man, he distributes the ball beautifully.
And don't forget Brian Bathrick, the sophomore sharpshooter.
Yeah,
Don't forget him.
No. You're absolutely right. You got a head start on next year's CHVL All-Star team right there.
That's it. Now moving over to the girls' side of the Patroon Conference, we said weeks ago that Ava Fitzmaurice was most likely going to be the MVP, and she was. 24.3 points per game. She led Section 2, and also led Greenville to a great year with Brian Haller, their head coach, being named Coach of the Year for the Patroon.
It's hard not to deny Ava the MVP
You
when
can't.
you lead the Section 2 in scoring, you lead your team to the Patroon title, and you lead your team to the Section 2 Class C semifinals and nearly knock off the 4th-ranked team in the state at the time, McKeel Christian Academy,
Absolutely.
who are actually made to the state states.
State
So
Yep.
Ava had an amazing season as her senior year.
Consistent.
You can't finish your career off any better than that. 24 points per game and lead the Section 2. So definitely hats off to her.
Yep. And to Brian Haller as well, who came in, had the year off last year, came back and led the team to the Patroon Conference Championship, and just did a tremendous job there with the Madeline Krasny, who was supposed to be one of their big players this year, hurt herself, couldn't play all year, still won the league championship. So hats off to Brian as well for doing such a tremendous job with that team. I mean, Ava Fitzmaurice, as we said, one of the top scorers, the top scorer in Section 2, not one of, she is the top scorer in Section 2, and he built around that team and had a lot of good components on that team as well. Isabel Truffle, just a freshman, such a good player.
First team All-Star.
Skylar Van Fleet on the All-Star team as well on the second team.
And running through the rest of them, we have Catskills, Monique Robinson, and Tiana Dewar, McCall Walters, Jenya, I guess you pronounce it. Janaya, just spelled Jenya. Robinson on the first team. You got Lindsay Darling, Leah Chitton, and Jolie Paulson, and Michaela Phillips all on the second team. So, again, a really good group of female basketball players that we have in the area. And a lot of them are coming back next year, or, as in the case of Isabella, being an 8th grader.
Youngster.
Be there for a while.
She's a youngster, and she'll be around for a while. And it's going to be fun to watch her progress as the years go by.
Now, we got to stick with basketball just for a second. Columbia Green women's basketball, tremendous season, went to the playoffs.
Historic season.
Yeah, historic season, one of the best seasons they've ever had in terms of wins. And we went to the game where they played in the playoffs. They hosted one of the Region 3 tournaments. And a really fun atmosphere over at Columbia Green. They're doing a lot of great things over there. They're getting the crowd into it, where historically not huge crowds come out to Columbia Green basketball games, but they had a pretty good packed house over there and got everybody involved, and it was a nice time over there.
Rashana Lindo, the AD, has done a really good job there. As you mentioned, it was a good crowd, as you might expect for a playoff game, to watch that historic team play. But It was a lot of fun. The different little situations they had at halftime, for the crowd to get into, and kept everybody interested. And that's what you like to see. That's what keeps bringing the folks back to watch the teams play and have a good time. It's a nice night out. You can get out there and watch the team, root the team on, and have a little fun, all in one fell swoop. It's a good time. And really, what a great year it was. I mean, we know all about Tanisha Edge, just one of the best players maybe ever at Columbia Green. There's been some really good women's basketball players, of course. Kim Adrians comes to mind first and foremost. But Tanisha Edge had such a historic season herself, averaging over 20 points a game for the second straight year. She was all everything, and she did so much for that team. But she wasn't alone. So many other good players on that team. Alea Albright, Anila Harper had a great year. I mean, we had Selena Jones, a Hudson High graduate, had a really good first half of the season for the Twins. And to get to the championship game of Region 3 in their second year back after like a 10-year layoff is nothing short of amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, they ran into a buzzsaw in Onondaga, but that just a great showing for Coach Bates and his staff, and for Columbia Green in general. Hats off to them for doing such a tremendous job.
Yeah, definitely. Now we are moving into a new season. We have baseball and softball coming up.
Yes.
Patroon Conference can get a little bit of some flack for their basketball teams, for soccer. They don't get much respect. Baseball, I think you have to turn it around a bit. They've had professional players come through the ranks. They always do well in the postseason. And this year, I think the Patroon Conference baseball specifically is going to have a phenomenal year throughout.
We've talked about this. I mean, the top of the Patroon Conference in baseball, you can't get much better than that. There are at least 4 teams, and certainly more than that could throw their hat in the ring as legitimate contenders for the league championship. We're talking about Hudson and Coxsackie, who were 1 and 2 last year. Greenville has 8 of 9 starters back. I mean, you've got Chatham, which is just
also 8 of 9 starters back, including a guy in Caleb Doyle who hit 500 last year as a leadoff hitter with multiple doubles and a home run as a leadoff hitter.
And you got Scott Stelz coaching the team. I mean, anytime you got Scott Stelz leading the team, you got yourself a contender right there. One of the best. And and then there's teams like Maple Hill that you might look past. There's Green Tech. There's Catskill. You cannot sleep on any of these teams, no matter who you're playing. And again, you can expect with the weather such as it is here in the Northeast, there's going to be rainouts, maybe even some snowouts. Fields aren't going to be ready, so it's going to be a lot of made-up games later on in the season, and I think that's where pitching comes in, and that's why I look at Greenville. Greenville's got 4, maybe 5 solid starters, and that's going to really pay dividends for them when you have those games in late April and in May, when you have a week where you have to play maybe 5 games in a given week. So I think it's going to help them a lot. But no gimmies in Patroon baseball this year, for sure.
Not at all. And softball is also going to be pretty good. You have a number of teams that can again compete for the title. Greenville's always strong. Taconic Hills is always strong. Chatham, Maple Hill. You have quite a few teams that can make some noise in the Patroon.
You got Ava Fitzmaurice back as a pitcher for Greenville, so that's going to be a
Don't forget JB and his Chatham Panthers. Bringing back all-stars in Megan Gilligan, Haley McKay, Brooklyn Doyle, and Jenna Skype.
Right.
Tough to beat. They're going to be a very, very good team, defending Patroon Conference champions. 16-0 last year, and unfortunately they fell to Hoosick Valley, who I know JB is very, very adamant that he wants to get them this year, either sectionals, non-league. So, but Chatham is definitely the team to beat. But watch out, Greenville is always there every year, back-to-back Section 2 Class C champions. So watch out.
Hudson's going to be heard from too now. Don't rest on Hudson now. The Hawks are going to be there.
And Chatham produces great talent every year. You can see it just in Columbia Green that has a couple girls. Bailey Cox has been doing really well in their first 6 games, 7 games, and down in Myrtle Beach playing. So Columbia Green softball, I think, is going to have a pretty solid year too.
Yeah, Jenna Ripple's having a good start to the season too for the Columbia Green Twins, who went 3-3 as of the taping of this show down south, and that's great for them because they're going to come back and they're going to have that game experience. They went down to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, to play in that Snowbird tournament with all of 1 outdoor outing. They were on the field one time before going down there. They had a practice on that Sunday, and then they started playing on the 11th, that Monday, and played 6 to 7 games down there, and that's really going to help them when they come back up north here. There's probably going to be a little layoff before they get on the field again up here, but and they're playing. We're not talking about the Little Sisters of the Poor over here. They're playing some top-notch competition down there, and I think that's definitely going to help them down the stretch. When they meet teams from up north here.
Definitely. And before we get to the next season, we have Rashad Barksdale, 8th year. He's coming back with the It's Okay to Dream Foundation and their big celebrity tournament.
Yep, the Run This Town Celebrity Hoops game. Oh, that's going to be good. Oh, that's going to be good. I'm looking forward to that. I look forward to it every year, not just for the celebrities that show up. T.O. was there last year, of course, and now in the Hall of Fame. But there's all sorts of festivities. It starts on Friday at Hudson High School gym at 4 o'clock. First with the Hudson Hawks girls AAU team. They're playing Team Berkshire. That'll be followed at 5:30 by a very, very good young team, the Hudson AAU Hawks, 5th and 6th grade team, coached by my man Vern Cross and Kamal Johnson. They co-coach and have a great thing going there. I talked to some of those kids the other day, and great kids, a joy to be around. They're playing Team Chatham, which is no slouch in its own right, so that's going to be fun. We got the dunk contest. We got local band Sean Delaney and Vinny Velez, Metaverse, going to perform live. It's going to be a great night. And, of course, we got the celebrity game.
You do?
The celebrity game. We were talking about celebrities, so why are we in it? You know what I mean? Come on now.
They didn't want you on the court. They said that your dunking skills probably would overshine the actual professional dunkers. So they declined your invitation.
They must have heard about my 2-inch vertical, so there we go. But we got that. And then we got Larry Johnson showing up. We got Brandon Jacobs, former Giant. Just a whole slew of players, celebrities, and some local cats that are pretty good at bowling, too. So we're going to have a good time.
Definitely.
It's 4 o'clock starting, and then the celebrity game around 7:30 or so, and the dunk contest, Metaverse, you name it, it's going to be there. You should be there.
Definitely. And I heard the dunk contest is going to be before the celebrity game this year instead of at halftime. So if you want to get there a little bit early, you're going to miss out if you're not there before.
Absolutely. Now, what I heard was they are going to do maybe the first round of the dunk contest before, and then maybe at halftime the finals. That's still kind of in the works, but that's what they're looking at right now, from what I've heard.
And you should always get there early, anyways. That place usually is packed, sold out. You're going to be waiting in line to get in, so get there early, get a good seat, and enjoy a full day of basketball.
Oh, it's going to be a good time. Good time.
Now, speaking of basketball, we're in the NCAA tournament. I'm going to put both of these guys on the spot real quick. Who wins?
Well, Louisville's down there, so I don't care. I mean, but you go first.
I'm a Duke fan through, and if I didn't pick Duke, I'm pretty sure my mom would ban me from the house. But I got to go with Michigan State.
Okay.
I just think they're the most balanced team. They are coming out of that very tough area where they do have Duke in there, and they could potentially play them in the Sweet 16. But I'm just going to go with Tom Izzo. I think this is Tom Izzo's year to finally get over that hump and get Michigan State that national title.
Okay, there you go. Well, I'm going with Murray State because, not really. But I actually would like to see them. They're my dark horse. I like to see them. You put me on the spot here. I'm going to go with Kansas. You heard? Kansas Jayhawks going to win it this year.
Okay. I'm pulling for Purdue. St. John's isn't in it, unfortunately, so Purdue going with the Boilermakers. They're taking it.
So we got Purdue, Michigan State, and Kansas.
Kansas.
Let's see.
We'll see. All right, we'll check in on that next week on the Press Box, presented by Columbia Green.